Welcome to Learn About Law. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law, and today we're going to talk about dissipation and contribution in divorce cases. Dissipation is when someone spends assets that should belong to the marital estate for their own purposes, and they have to pay money back into the marital estate as part of the divorce. Contribution is when someone spends their own money on marital purposes and they get reimbursed as part of the divorce. So first, a foundational issue. We have at learn-about-law.com an article and a podcast about what is a marital asset and what's a non-marital asset. So that's some foundational knowledge, but what you need to know to understand dissipation and contribution is that some assets belong to the couple in the divorce, and that's what's divided by the divorce court between the couple. There are some assets that are not part of the marital estate. They're non-marital assets, like an inheritance that one person received and never commingled, that really don't have much to do with the couple, but they're one person's individual asset that is not divided in the divorce. So that's the foundational knowledge. You have to understand that there's marital assets and non-marital assets, and dissipation and contribution deal with when people are either taking from or giving to that marital estate that is being divided in the divorce. So again, dissipation is when someone spends money from the marital estate wrongfully on themselves, kind of in anticipation of the divorce. So examples of this are, buying a flat screen television for their own apartment, a golfing trip by one of the parties that excludes the other party, purchasing a fishing boat when only one of the spouses fishes, lavish spending sprees on things like jewelry or sports cars, or gambling. So those are examples of dissipation. Things that are not considered dissipation are things that are spent in the ordinary course of life. So purchasing an insurance policy, investing in a mutual fund, buying a new air conditioner for the family, payment of medical bills for the family. That's not dissipation. Contribution is the other side of that coin. That is when someone spent their own money to contribute to the marital estate, basically shortly before the divorce. In this case, the contributing party is entitled to reimbursement from the marital estate. So before the estate's divided, the person who made the contribution gets their money off the top to reimburse them for the contribution they made. So basically an example of contribution is using proceeds from the sale of their own non-marital property, so their own condo, to buy a jointly owned marital residence, and then a divorce happens shortly thereafter. So the closer in time you are to the transaction, the more likely it is to be considered contribution. So, the spouse A had a condo, they sell the condo, put that money into buying the marital residence, and they've paid for more than their fair share of the marital residence. That might be considered a contribution. They might get their money from the sale of the condo back off the top of the marital estate before the marital estate is divided. Another is selling your baseball card collection that you've had since childhood to pay for a repair of your roof of the marital residence. That's taking your own money that wouldn't normally be considered part of the marital estate and putting it into the marital estate. And again, to sum up, dissipation is wrongfully spending money of the marital estate. Contribution is contributing money to the marital estate. And before the marital estate is divided, things are made right. So the dissipator has to pay money, the contributor gets money from the marital estate before it's divided among the spouses. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to schedule a free consultation, you can call me at 630-324-6666. That's 630-324-6666. We do almost every area of law, including family law and divorce. If you'd like to check out more articles, podcasts, video blogs, we've got a whole bunch of them at learn-about-law.com in almost every area of law. Check out seizeyourbusiness.com for our business podcast, and makingrealestatefun.com for our real estate videos and podcasts. Thanks so much for listening.